includes the remote participation of members as authorized under Minnesota Statute Section 13D.021 due to the declared local health pandemic. I will now call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll so that we may verify the presence of a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioner Aylesworth.
Present.
Commissioner Bedbury.
Present.
Commissioner Benson. Commissioner Brinkman. Commissioner Gary.
Present.
Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Silky Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Present.
Commissioner Kevorkian.
Present.
Commissioner Ludwigczak.
Present.
Commissioner Midak.
I'm here.
Commissioner Smith.
Here. Present.
And Commissioner Chair Vorderbruggen.
Present. Thank you. With that, we will proceed to our agenda, a copy of which was posted for public access to the city's legislative information management system, which is available at lims.minneapolismn.gov. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this December meeting. As I mentioned, we do really have a dense agenda, and I'm very excited to have a rich dialogue with everyone this evening, as well as send off our outgoing commissioners. So it's a very special night for us. And of course, the end of all of our meetings for 2020.
Madam Chair, I just let somebody into the meeting and I don't know who it is because it's a phone number.
Okay. May I ask who's joined us?
Hi, this is Jeffrey Swinton.
Oh, hello, Mr.
Hi.
Swinton. Thank you so much for joining
Hi, how are you?
us.
Oh, I'm excited to be on the call.
Okay, wonderful. Great. So we will call to order. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
With that, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll on the motion.
Commissioner Aylesworth.
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury.
Aye.
Commissioner Gary.
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Aye.
Commissioner Kevorkian.
Aye.
Commissioner Ludwigczak.
Aye.
Commissioner Midak.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
And Chair Vorderbruggen.
Aye. Thanks, everyone. That's so moved. Okay, so we will start. We're going to do quick, brief intros. It is December. It is the holidays. It has been a tremendously challenging year. So let's go ahead and just do an intro. If you want to give just a little information about your role, as we do have two guests on the line. And then what are you leaving behind in 2021? And maybe it's hard to be brief. It could be an object, it could be a mood, or something specific, but we'll go through that really quickly, okay? And I'll start. My name is Joan Vorderbruggen. I'm the chair of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. I temporarily live in Palmisano's ward. I am leaving behind being grumpy about working. And gonna just really reside in like appreciating all of the amazing things that I have the great privilege to do. And I am going to pick on, AKA tag, Commissioner Aylesworth.
Hi, Lana Aylesworth. I'm in Jeremy Schrader's Ward 11, and I'm going to leave behind the word pivot. I'm going to tag Commissioner Bedbury.
Hi, Mandy Bedbury. I'm in Ward 10. I am not going to leave behind the brandy I put in my whiskey, or the brandy I put in my decaf coffee at night. But I will leave behind hand sanitizer because that is very drying for the skin. I'm tagging Commissioner Smith.
Commissioner Smith, Ward 1, I believe. And I will leave behind both not having your mute button on and also forgetting to hit your mute button when you want to talk. And I'll take Melinda.
Thanks, David. Melinda Ledwizak, Ward 8, and I'm leaving the commission after 9 years on this body. And I want to leave behind social distancing. I'm looking forward to hugs and handshakes and family gatherings and friends and all that. So that's what I want to leave behind.
Excellent. You want to tag somebody, Melinda?
Calvin, you're it.
Okay. I've almost been on the commission as long as Melinda. I think it's 8 years for me. But Calvin Kiesling, Ward 11. And I am going to leave behind the expression unprecedented times. And I'm going to tag Commissioner Mittag.
Oh man, people already stole mine. I got to come up with something new. But my name's Lisa Mittag. I'm a she/her. I'm in Ward 2, which is Cam Gordon's ward. And I want to leave behind a sense that I haven't merited joy. And I want to look forward to some joy in my life. And I want to look forward to bringing joy to other people in the new year. It's been a hard year for joy. So, and I will tag, Hannah, have you gone yet?
I have not. I'm Hannah. I am in Ward 9, and I guess yours made me think about maybe not something I'm leaving behind, but something I'm taking with me is like finding joy in unexpected places. And I will tag Commissioner Kevorkian.
This is Ellie Kevorkian, Ward 10. I think I'm going to leave behind irritating Twitter speak, like so sad. Who's next? I think that's all of everyone.
Does Ahava have to go?
Oh, Ahava?
Yes. As I was contemplating, I think I'm going to leave behind a hashtag that we have at work to help ourselves poke fun at this year. We always say hashtag not this year after any time anyone suggests anything that we would normally do. And so I think I'm going to leave behind not this year and create a new one that is yes this year going into 2021.
I love it. And now let's move on to staff. Mary, do you want to go next?
Sure. Actually, I'm leaving something behind. Talia and I just scanned 40 years of archives for the Arts Commission and the Public Art Program. We've been doing it for like a year, and Tina too. And we finished last Friday and moved into the new office with 3 boxes each.
What a tremendous accomplishment. Thanks, you guys. Miss Tina Beach, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tina Beach. I'm the clerk for the Arts Commission, and I echo with what Melinda said about social distancing. I want to get back to being normal and being around people. And I will, let's see, is there any, Jeffrey, I'll pass it to Jeffrey.
Wonderful.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Swinton, and I'm in Ward 7, and I'll be leaving behind sending out 2020 related memes.
That's great. Andrea, would you like to participate?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Andrea Brennan. I'm the interim CPED director right now. I have been in this role for the last 6 months. Before that, I was the director of housing policy and development in CPED for the last 5.5 years before that. So I am a Ward 13 resident. I think my husband's here and was mentioning that some of your names are familiar because he's an artist, a photographer. Luke Erickson is his name. I think maybe Joan and Melinda have interacted with Luke at some point. And I just I wanted to just join this meeting as a guest and just to just learn. So I just wanted to observe and learn and just better understand what it is that the MAC does and how as CPED director I can, to better understand how I as CPED director can be helpful to you. Gosh, in terms of leaving things behind, I mean, where to start? It's a long list. Thank you for inviting me to speak. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you coming tonight, so thanks for that.
Sure.
Okay, so next we have on our agenda, just if anyone has any corrections for the November minutes, please speak. Okay, good. And then we just have one consent agenda item this evening, which is approving the new 2021 MAC and executive meeting dates. Tina Beach has been so helpful and supportive in getting these all set up for us. And she went through it with a fine-tooth comb and found that there needed to be 2 changes in September. And so those changes are that the exec meeting will be Thursday, September 9th, and the broader MAC meeting will be Tuesday, September 14th. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda item?
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Can I get a second, please? Anyone want to second the consent agenda change?
I second.
Second.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Kevorkian, thank you, Calvin, too. Do you need to call roll on this, the consent agenda item?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call roll. Okay, Commissioner Ellsworth. Commissioner Ellsworth. Commissioner Bedbury.
Aye.
Commissioner Gary.
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Kiesling.
Abstain.
Commissioner Kevorkian.
Aye.
Commissioner Ludwigczak.
Aye.
Commissioner Midak.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
And Chair Border-Brugan.
Aye. That item is moved. Thank you again, Tina, for finding the glitch, and thanks everyone for making that fix. Okay, so we will move into the discussion portion of our agenda, and I will say that Commissioner Henry sends her sincere regrets that she couldn't join us, as she and several others have been working so diligently on the items that we're going to discuss. So it's unfortunate, but I also am really happy that she's prioritizing what she needs to do. And she wanted me to read a letter to you this evening, so I'll start with that. Thank you all for coming to our last Minneapolis Arts Commission meeting. For the first time this year, I'm not available, both physically and emotionally. This year, as for many of you, has been taxing yet interesting. As I volunteer as vice chair for the commission, I am currently working on artistic development, and I have previously scheduled an event at the same time as tonight's meeting. With that being said, I fully support the commission in sending the letters that we've created to initiate formal review that illustrates our grief, misfortune, and our fatigue. The letters will describe my emotional references as the current state of the Minneapolis Arts Commission. Please join us in editing or revising the letters as you discuss them if you have suggestions. I came into the commission January 2020, and I believe that disappointment in maintaining support both internally and externally to produce new experiences are the primary reasons we are where we are at this time. The commission has had their grievances for the past 5 years, if not longer. And no, it should not take BIPOC presence or our absence to craft ideas for resolve. Our commission is a need for the city. Therefore, our concerns should be a great need for the city as well. We are an undervalued commission. Our ordinance and our ideas up until this point have been ignored, and I, as a Black woman, am tired of not being heard. Please assist us in creating a healthy and more equitable working environment. So thank you for that. The first item that we are going to discuss, unless anybody wants to make any comments about her, kind of her letter to us about missing and her request, is the letter to the audit committee for the city of Minneapolis that was sent to all of you. I can just give you a little bit of background about this. You know, we have witnessed kind of a string of rather big decision-making tables that we have been excluded from participating. And it's been, I think, especially difficult this past year with how passionately concerned this group of people are for artists and the arts community and the constituents that we represent on this governing body, but also this is feedback that I have received pretty regularly in my tenure, in my 3-year tenure now at the commission. And so in an effort to try to resolve some of these issues, you know, the idea of sending a letter to our council members arose again. But we also discussed the fact that the last 2 letters did not result in response or any action. And so that the letter writing strategy has not been effective to be heard from staff and elected. So we have been brainstorming about what might be possible and decided, and this was after some really difficult conversations and some one-on-one conversations with several commissioners who were feeling at the end of their rope and not wanting to continue on in 2021. And so really wanting to respect those very real feelings and the risk that we have right now with 6 vacancies. There's actually 8 vacancies at the moment, but we will fill 2 positions next month. But 6 vacancies, and then of course Commissioner Henry being the last commissioner from a community of color that is on the commission, and also, you know, 3 out of 4 BIPOC commissioners resigning early this year. So just this big complex problem that's extraordinarily concerning to all of us. And so one of the solutions that we brainstormed was to use the system to try to create a solution for what feels broken in the system, and that looking at our ordinance and reviewing the decision-making that has happened that has had budget determinations attached to it, that really feels as if we should have been involved in the process based on the ordinance, could warrant an audit review of compliance. And so the letter to the audit committee, I'll just quick read kind of the intro. Please let this letter serve as a request for the audit committee to recommend internal audit conduct a special review to determine compliance with Chapter 36 of the Minneapolis, Minnesota Code of Ordinances as related to the decision-making that resulted in budget determinations by city staff and elected for arts-related capital investments, plans, programs, projects, and evaluations in this and the previous fiscal year. And then a reminder that the ordinance states the commission shall advise the city council and city departments on arts-related capital investments, plans, programs, projects, and evaluations initiated by the city. And then the letter goes on. I don't have to read the whole entire letter because I imagine you have. Goes on to list the reasons why we feel that this is a great source of the issues that we bulleted out, and then examples of potential non-compliance that we've witnessed in more recent months, and of course this past year. It also at the end just says that, you know, this body of volunteers provides upwards of 800 hours of service for the city annually, and that we are appointed by a process that that seats us in these positions, that we are artists and arts professionals that represent a diverse group of people across all of the wards of our city, and that part of our effort is to just re-engage the city staff and our elected to value us as a volunteer body, but also to be compliant with the ordinance in which we want to serve and we want to fulfill our duties as. So I guess I want to open it up to any kind of comments or the dialogue about the letter. And we are asking tonight for approval to forward this letter on. So I want to open it up to any commissioners for any dialogue.
Joan, are you going to share the letter in the chat, or I know you sent it through email, but sometimes you send things through chat.
I can. Yep, I can do that in just a moment. I just have to quick grab it.
I'd be happy to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
We could take care of that, Joan.
Okay. Lisa, you're muted, Lisa.
Thanks. I wonder if you want to give anyone a sense for the conversations that we had at executive. I mean, I'm conscious of having been a part of an earlier conversation, and I don't want to take up space with that when we can hear from our other commissioners, but I would like them to know where, you know, just, I don't know if that's clear enough.
Sure. We received a resolution. I don't know the exact date. I apologize about that. That was authored by several council members, you know, during the budgeting session to ask for support. The resolution was cited as stabilizing. Let's see. On December 1st, 2020, a resolution was presented to the Budget Committee by CVP Jenkins, Reich, Ellison, Cano to stabilize the arts and culture services in the city enterprise so as to elevate, increase, and consolidate the visibility and the effectiveness of the city's arts and culture services. And this advocated for funding and resources from the 2021 budget. And we were not a part of that conversation, with the exception of being sent the resolution only days before it was going to be presented. And asked for our support and for us to canvass and, you know, ask our council members to support the resolution. So I think that when that happened, it spurned a pretty serious dialogue around process and ordinance compliance. So, and then we had our nomination committee had met. We had 10 applications that came through for the vacancies. We interviewed 7 of those candidates. I'm sorry, we interviewed all 10 of those candidates, and only 2 felt as if they were appropriate to move forward. And so that also spurned a dialogue about how serious the situation is about this particular governing body retaining and attracting commissioners, and why that's not happening. And so those pieces combined, we just had some dialogue around what the problem was and why, you know, also why we feel as if after our canvassing effort in October, and looking at the results of that canvassing effort, when we all had one-on-ones with our council members, and when we asked them about the value of the commission and what our role is, and getting literally a different answer from every single person, recognizing that all of those things combined tell us that there's some serious drift that's happening and has been happening. So this is our attempt to try to regain some agency, and, you know, also to in the other letter that we're proposing this evening is to really address the issue of BIPOC talent and you know, diverse representation on this commission, and it being a priority, and how do we get there. I hope that's helpful to everyone. Okay. Does anybody have any questions, any clarifying questions, or any, you know, just how are people feeling about this process? I know that the audit committee, I think from the research that we have done, this is not a typical request. However, it is not out of bounds of what their duties are. They are in a position to do internal audit around decision-making and finances and risk management for the city. So this, even as I think that this is not a typical request, it's also, from what I can tell, and from the research that we've done, that this is appropriate. So we've done some due diligence there. Any comments? I'm sorry, Melinda, I see your hand is up. I apologize. Go ahead.
I'll just give you some experience that we had on the aging committee for the city. We had several members who have very strong opinions about public safety as that was rolling out this summer, and the city was engaging citizens and input on that. So we wrote a letter among all of us to the mayor and every city council member. We heard back from one city council member and the mayor. And our issue was trying to elicit response from a community of elders who may not all be online and being shut out of any discussion because of technology or access to technology or technology skills. And they recognize that, and I think they worked a little harder to elicit responses from the elder community. But just to let you know that we're not alone in being ignored by members of the city council. And the two responses were very heartfelt. I thought they made some good points, but just to let you know, our committee is not alone in this kind of ignoring the commissions who work so hard for our city and volunteers. So just to letting you know something that we heard.
Thank you so much for volunteering that. I really appreciate it. And I know that we do comment in these letters about the state of things and the tension the stress and tension that's happening citywide in many different areas. So that said, can anyone speak to, I mean, I know that I have heard from outgoing commissioners in years past that this has been an ongoing issue, that this isn't something that's necessarily new. I wonder if anyone with any of that historic continuum would be generous enough to share just, a history of, for some of us who are a little bit newer on the commission, is this issue recent with the onset of the pandemic, or is this typical, or is it a result of these difficult times?
I can speak to that. This is Calvin, Commissioner Kiesling. This is status quo. This is not abnormal whatsoever. We have never been consulted for budgetary items that this council looks at. When we hear about things, it is either through Mary Altman or through Kogun Kayam, and it's usually last minute in nature and needing an emergency response or intervention, or it's after the fact. There has been zero practice of actually using us as a vessel for support or advisory. We have been basically shut out of the political process. Our role has been one of support within the public art realm greatly, and within the greater cultural scene, we have been able to be in support, but we have not had political influence or been able to advise those who are making political decisions around art in our city. So this is, having been on the commission for 8 years, having served as vice chair, this is not new. This has been there. We've struggled to figure out how to fight, and fight might be a little bit of a hard word, but I greatly appreciate the audit request. I think it's due time, and if the commission is to stay active, I think anytime this happens, we should request an audit, just like pound them like crazy. As an outgoing member, I do think they need to just keep knowing that they're not doing their task and their job. So thank you for leading the charge, exec. I appreciate it greatly.
Thank you so much for that. Thanks for giving us that background too, because I think it is really important for us to be able to discern what is systemic over time, what is a result of just really difficult scenario, situation that our city faces. And I'm sure that there's a combination of both, but Commissioner Kiesling, I think we've had some conversations about this in the past, that this is just a really great source of frustration. We see year after year, at least in my tenure, an amazing group of commissioners that come on, very diverse representation typically, with lots of ambition and excitement, and ending up the year feeling confused as to if they had done what they were, was intended for them to do. If all we are is rubber stamping public art is a lot of the commentary that I hear. So maybe that said, is any of our newer commissioners feeling like they could comment on their experience as being a new commissioner? And even though this has been, a totally not typical year, just what those expectations were coming in and how you're feeling now.
I'm happy to speak. This is Commissioner Kevorkian. I joined the commission roughly about a year ago, and I think last January. I bring a 20-year career in contemporary art from a national perspective, having lived in many major cities and secondary and tertiary cities throughout the United States. I decided to join the commission because I was put off by the fact that the city had no Department of Arts and Culture, yet its reputation for being so arts supportive and artist centric from all over the country. I know that this is the reputation that the city of Minneapolis has, was a direct disconnect to my experience having moved here and living here. So I think my main issue is that I have experienced directly just an inability to lend expertise, talent, and make informed decisions on just about anything, and that there's no inclusion, or there happens to be no invitation for us to be able to put any kind of or to have any kind of input on what is going on in the city through City Hall, through the Office of the Arts. So my level of frustration is very, very high because I am a busy person, but I also believe in doing service, particularly for the arts, because it's so sorely needed. And it's very frustrating to me to not be able to actually lend support when I know that I can. So, I mean, really, truly, without this being about ego, it's more about being of service. And it's difficult to constantly having your road blocked every time you turn around with, a notion or a vision or an idea or, an avenue or an interest to support something, a topic, a program, a conversation to instigate. So I'm feeling like my hands are tied, and I've reached the level of frustration where I'm considering stepping off the committee, but I have nothing to lose at this point. So I think I prefer to write some strongly worded letters before I do that and see what happens. So long story made longer.
Very appreciated. Thank you, Commissioner Kevorkian. Would anybody else like to comment on, I guess right now we are discussing the audit letter, and then we can move into the civil rights letter. Would anyone else like to provide any comments or questions, concerns? Would we like to motion to move this forward, to send this letter as it is written to the audit committee for the city of Minneapolis?
Yes. So moved. I move that the letter as written is forwarded to audit committee to be carried forward with our message.
I second that.
Okay, Tina, if you could call roll, please. Thank you very much.
All right. Commissioner Aylesworth?
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury?
Aye.
Commissioner Gary?
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner Kiesling?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Kevorkian?
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwizak?
Yes.
Commissioner Midak?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
And Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Aye. So moved. Thanks, everyone. Let's hope for good outcomes with that. I appreciate the discussion. The next item, sorry, we were going to discuss the nomination updates. I'm gonna, if it's okay with everybody, the letter is a part of this discussion. And I think we'd be better served to just move to that. And then I'm happy to give some positive updates. But Commissioner, Vice Chair, Commissioner Henry, as the last seated commissioner, BIPOC commissioner, very, very generously authored a letter to the Department of Civil Rights and intends also to send it to the Equity Commission chair. And I know that you've had a chance to read this letter, and Tina, if you are able to drop it in the chat, that might be helpful. This too is our attempt at bringing the issues of equity, of diversity, equity, inclusion on this commission, and connecting it to issues of non-compliance, connecting it to barriers. As you know, Vice Chair Commissioner Henry has been championing the conversation about potentially paying commissioners for their time. This is a very difficult time to do that, but she has been very persistent in citing it as an equity issue. And her letter is very passionately written, and the decision that we have to make tonight is if we wish to send her letter on behalf of the full commission. So that's the question that I pose to you all. I'd love to open it up for any comments, questions, or concerns.
This is Commissioner Gary. This is an issue that has been coming up, I think, the whole time I have been on the commission, which is either 2 or 3 years now. And I know that it's difficult to have payment for commissioners, but I think especially when you look at the vast disparities that we have in Minnesota, some of the highest disparities in the country, when you're asking for communities who are already under-resourced and are, especially in the time of the pandemic, are being hit harder as BIPOC artists, and then asking for volunteer time to give energy and give effort to a system that is not returning anything is just not okay. And I know that it's challenging, and I know that it's a hard thing to figure out, but I think if we really want to put action behind a statement of pursuing racial equity and put action behind something like a racial equity action plan, then we need to start making changes around that. And just wanted to fully support what was in Commissioner Henry's letter.
Thank you so much for those comments, Commissioner Gary. Would anyone else like to provide comment?
This is Commissioner Kiesling again. I think paragraph 4 of the letter, which really addresses the inconsistent and inequity of treatment of members of the commission, as well as role of commission, as well as looking at how our BIPOC members are being tokenized, utilized in ways that are not supportive of the community, as well as not being respected as a whole, I think is something that is very well spoken. And I have struggled with this in the past, and I think Commissioner Henry's letter nails it as far as naming what it is. And so I fully support undersigning this letter as a commissioner in support of Commissioner Henry, as well as the future of the MAC to be successful in being a change agent in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner Kiesling. Any other comments, concerns?
Joan, I'd say something. I guess the thing I want to say is I know we have been working, some of us for years, with Mary and her team on public art in the city. And I know that the lack of like a quorum will become an issue when we aren't able to seat people. And I just want to acknowledge that that's a tough pain point that's going to fall on that team. And I feel like we all support public art, but it's part of our support of public art that makes us question the validity of a quorum that is so underrepresentative. And so it's a really tough bind to be in, to put that hardworking group of folks at the city through that. But I don't see another pathway. And I also support the sending of this letter.
Thank you, Commissioner Middag. Melinda, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I recommend that beyond sending it to the people addressed in the letter, that we send it widely and make sure we send it to every council member, copy them, the mayor, our CPED director, Gulgoon and her supervisor, Mary and Tina. So everyone that needs to know should get a copy, just so that they're all on notice that this is where our position.
It's really great feedback. It's really important. And, you know, I suspect that there may be some informal letter sharing happening at the moment. So why not take the opportunity to formally share it? And it can still be addressed to the addressees that Commissioner Henry has identified, but definitely would be great value for our staff and elected to also receive formally. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, yeah, Commissioner Silky Jones. I just wanted to build off of that and say, and I shared this with you, Joan, as well as Commissioner Henry, that maybe at some point, I don't know if that's right now, but if we're not seeing movement, that there might be some strategic sharing beyond just the internal mechanisms with regards to press and other arts organizations. There's a lot of momentum building, not just in Minnesota, but nationally, around holding lots of different institutions and government bodies accountable for how they're approaching the arts, especially from an equity lens. So I would encourage us to build upon that if we can, and kind of force the hand and some movement and actually addressing meaningful steps if that feels appropriate or when that feels appropriate.
Thank you so much for that feedback. I agree. And I will say too, that has been presented to me and to the vice chair several times by several different people, that, you know, we take these steps today, we make our concerns known, and then we reconvene and decide from there based on what we've heard, what next steps will be. And, you know, considering, you know, a broader strategy that involves external parties is definitely a consideration. So thank you for that. Okay. Any other comments, concerns? And the motion that we are looking for is to approve sending Vice Chair Commissioner Henry's letter to the Department of Civil Rights, to the Equity Commission, CCing our council members, our mayor, our CPED director, and our city staff, and undersigning the letter by the broader commission. Did I word that correctly? Does that sound right?
Madam Chair,
Okay.
I have a couple of clarifications.
Okay.
One is that I think when there was discussion about setting it to the equity committee, it was the race equity committee of the city council, but the city council has been restructured and doesn't currently have that committee.
Okay.
So there isn't really an equity commission.
Okay.
Also, just to clarify, that the motion is for you to send the letter on behalf of the full commission and not to send the Commissioner Henry, a letter from Commissioner Henry, right?
She's the author and we're undersigning. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm really open to like, help me out here. How does this move forward?
So I believe that, I mean, you could say that you took action endorsing her letter, right? You could say you would like the letter to come from the full commission, but you're taking an action, so I think you should let the Civil Rights Committee know what action you took, right?
I know that when we did a letter in the summer that was authored by Commissioner Bashar, we simply all signed it. And even though it was authored by one of our commissioners, it was co-signed by everyone on the commission. So I think we could approach it that way as well, unless anyone has a different idea.
I know I'm splitting hairs, but I think that means it's a letter from the full commission.
Yeah, no, that's okay. These things can be important, so. All right. May I have a motion to move forward Vice Chair Commissioner Henry's letter on behalf of the Minneapolis Arts Commission to the Department of Civil Rights, our council members, mayor, CPED director, department heads, and city staff.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Okay. Please call roll, Tina.
Commissioner Aylesworth,
Aye.
Commissioner Bedbury,
Aye.
Commissioner Gary,
Aye.
Commissioner Silky Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Aye.
Commissioner Kevorkian,
Yes.
Commissioner Ludwigczak,
Aye.
Commissioner Midag,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
and Commissioner Vorderbruggen.
Aye, so moved. Thank you, everyone. This feels good at the end of the year to be taking these action steps. So I really appreciate everybody's efforts in all the different ways, the conversations, the dialogue here tonight, you taking time to read these letters and to have a good dialogue about it. So thanks a lot. On to some good news and some approaches for our nomination updates. I let you know earlier at the top of this meeting that we did go through an entire nomination process. We had 10 applicants. We interviewed them all and decided to move forward 2 candidates. We decided to suspend the official nomination of these candidates until January just because of the dense amount of business that we had to accomplish this evening and also timeline issues. But we will be advancing Mr. Jeffrey Swinton, who's on the call tonight. Congratulations, Mr. Swinton. It'll be fun to work with you. And Mariana Mansfield. If you have any questions, you want to see their applications, please do let me know, and I'm very happy to share feedback. But congratulations to those 2, and thank you to everyone who applied. It was really appreciated. I wanted to mention next that we are going to have 6 vacancies. We are going to have some quorum issues potentially, as Commissioner Minnig mentioned. I did ask about proxy voting. You'll see that on your agenda, and that is not an option for us. So I think it's a little bit of a difficult situation that we face right now, and I just wanted to put it out there at how important it will be moving forward for all of you to the best of your ability to be able to attend these meetings for especially January and February as we work to seat the rest of the vacancies. So any comments or questions about that? And thank you so much in advance. I know that this is like one of the hardest times to be volunteering on top of everything else that everyone else is dealing with. So just know how appreciated you are. But I did want to really mention that we are going to run into some quorum issues, and it will be hard to advance work moving forward until this is resolved. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Silky Jones.
I just had a quick question. If we come across individuals in the next weeks or months that we think would be good for the commission or interested? How does that work with the official process being over?
We're reopening the application. So we're going to try again. And we have some ideas about that I'm going to talk about in just a bit. But yes, if you have any interested parties, clearly prioritizing BIPOC and diverse ages, diverse backgrounds. We also want to take a look at our wards and some issues of equity. We've got some good ideas for our access group to really look at like representation of various wards and where we might want to seat more than one commissioner in particular areas of the city that could use that support, additional support. So yes, Tina, if it's okay for an action step for you, when applications do become available, again, if you could send that, but in the meantime, be my guest, vet away. Let people know that there's going to be an opportunity to apply and that we're looking at a new day, hopefully. We're doing some good moves and we're making some things happen. So does that answer your question?
Yes, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too. Commissioner Midegg?
Yes, just as a point of participation, I know the flexibility to participate remotely due to COVID has made it possible for probably more people to attend. And if we know going forward that participation will be a challenge, we had at one point had a way to have people be able to participate over a phone, and then that was shut off as an access point. And for some people, this entrance back to the world from COVID will be more attenuated. Some people have immunological problems or, won't be able to get the virus. And I'm wondering if we can ask staff to get some clarity for us, if there's any available from the clerk on what the process is going to look like going forward in terms of commitment, so that can both inform our recruiting and can help us think about how to manage for quorum.
That's great suggestion. Tina, are you comfortable with that as an action step to just see if there's a forecast for the virtual meetings? I know there's an extension. I think it's indefinite at the moment as far as I'm aware, but can you just clarify that? And then we want to just bring up the discussion of continuing to be able to have accessible meetings even post pandemic. So that's a really good consideration.
Yes, I'll check with the clerk's office. We have a meeting on Monday for all the boards and commissions. So I will ask that question.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. The next item is that the applications are reopening December 31st. And I just want to quick touch on an idea that was brought forward by Commissioner Midegg, and it was enthusiastically received by Vice Chair Commissioner Henry to consider opening applications to youth and potentially high school students and college students, and seeing if it's possible to even engage Minneapolis Public Schools. And I'm not sure exactly what the path to operationalize that is exactly, but I would love to hear, I would just love to hear your thoughts about us considering engaging younger commissioners and maybe even commissioners that, are in high school.
Do it. It's awesome. You gotta do it. Nora Schul, who's currently the arts lead for Minneapolis Public Schools, would be the contact for that. I think she would be a great person to connect with. I know that she would want to know kind of what parameters we'd be looking at, a fully voting member kind of detail, and then trying to think about what representation should look like. Obviously, we aren't in the, it'd be community member, right? It wouldn't be able to fill the administrator role or the artist role, or maybe it could fill the artist role depending, right? So like, I think that would need to be defined in reaching out, but absolutely. I think seniors in high school would be a great group, or if you really want a 3-year term, then we have to look at sophomores to actually be able to get them. But then I also think that reaching out to the college community would make a lot of sense. I know some students at MCAD who would be very excited about considering joining such a group, assuming that there is some energy and movement going forward based off of our letters. And there's hope in where we're going. So I do think that both parties would be very valued assets and might bring some energy to discussion, as well as to the politicalization around some of the issues that we're addressing.
Thank you. Would you be willing to do an e-introduction with myself and Mrs. Schull? Yeah, you're nodding yes.
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. That's a great takeaway. And then I'll circle back with Commissioner Middag and Vice Chair Henry, as they've been an active participant in this conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other comments, questions, concerns? Okay. And we did already discuss the letter and pay and other barriers to equity, so we can move forward. I wanted to
Joan,
just
I
comment
tried to put my hand up and wasn't able to. I'm sorry. This is Lisa.
Oh, go ahead.
Can I just say one thing about that? I mean, one thing I think would be interesting to think about is if there is another structure for possible participation, we would want to suggest beyond the classic 3-year term. Like, is it an appointment that goes to an educational institution potentially where students could matriculate in and out across the year? I mean, even a full year is a lot for a young person to be able to commit to a board, and that may be desirable, but it may also not be practical in order to include them. And so I don't know how to advance that, and maybe that's the work of our access committee, but I just wanted to call that out, that maybe that's another thing we should be thinking about.
It may also be a policy. That's really good feedback. It may also be a policy issue. Like maybe, you know, the way that we have that whole situation set up needs to be reevaluated. I mean, maybe like diversity minimums need to be established for this group. Perhaps there's some, you know, just really putting forward, you know, maybe we want, again, that equity of the wards also too, you know, like maybe there's a way to restructure the way that the commission is built. And I too don't exactly know what the path is for that, but that could be, I mean, if we focused on that for 2021, you know, just reimagining how this group, what this group is comprised of as far as constituent representation in the city, that could be a really interesting project for us to attack, and just like, you know, really be, you know, leaving something better than what we have had. So I'm sorry, Commissioner Ludwig, do you have a comment?
Yes, you can structure your membership how you like. The Advisory Committee on Aging, in addition to ward representatives that have to be of a certain age, we do appointments to staff from agencies who serve elders across the city. And I think there's a limit of 5 or 6 of those appointments. I know Community Ed is one of them. So you might look at that kind of a structure, and they are voting members as well. So I think you figure out how you want to structure your membership and then go forward. It's possible because other commissions and committees do that.
That's very helpful. Mary?
Just a clarification. The membership of the commission is defined in ordinance, and the length of terms is defined in ordinance. And so an ordinance change is not just a simple vote of the commission. That's a process. And so there probably is beyond that definition, there are some nuances you can get at. But like, you know, they're 3-year terms, but people can resign whenever they want, right? Things like that. But the ordinance change would be a little harder.
An ordinance change might be a great focus, frankly. Like it might be good to just look at it, you know, and talk about it. Talk about if it's relevant still, if it needs to be updated. Just putting that out there. Commissioner Silky Jones, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to add on top of Commissioner Keeley's statement that another wonderful partnership might be Perpage Arts High School. Many of the seniors go straight into working in Minneapolis as artists. And I know that the Walker Art Center is a coveted teen council and kind of the only opportunity to really get plugged in. And this would be such a different platform for just access and meeting other artists at different points in their careers, and also an opportunity for advocacy. So I will send an introduction email for you, Joan, with the current assistant principal there, because she's also very active in the media arts youth network, and I think you'd have a lot of synergy and interest there as well. So I just wanted to share that idea.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for offering that introduction. I think that's a great suggestion for sure. And it reminds me too that we also have the Fair Arts High School right downtown. So we've got a couple of areas that we could just, as maybe even as a pilot, like just give it a try for a year. I see that Commissioner Aylesworth has her hand up.
Yes, thanks, Joan. I just wanted to add that working under the parameters of the ordinance, we can look specifically at vacancy openings for seats 10, 11, and 12, all layperson. So I think that falls right in line with the youth initiatives that we're discussing here. Seats 1 and 2 are also for individual participating artists. And those applications are up online. So if that's updated now on the city's website, they're currently out there. And it just says that the deadline is the 31st, so we should promote it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for those clarifications. That's really important information. Thanks so much. Great. That's great. Thanks, everybody. Is there anyone that I haven't called on that's hand is up? No. Okay. Excellent. What a great discussion. Okay, moving on. The executive committee would like to host a retreat. We thought that we would like to do this in January. With so much happening, I just wanted to quick put that out there and see if there's an appetite to participate in that. It feels as if it's time to, I think that we set the standard last year in having a work plan prepared and passing that in January. And for many obvious reasons, we have put that work on hold. And it feels as if it's time to look to a work plan that has some very specific goals that are part of what we're talking about this evening, and that just requires more dialogue, and that we would want the fresh perspectives also of our new commissioners. So, could this happen late January, that we really dial in on focusing on goals for our 2021 work plan that are specific and actionable. So that's that communication on behalf of the exec committee that we wish to pose to. I know we are missing quite a few commissioners tonight, and we have a lot of outgoing commissioners, and we want to get to our celebration about that. But any thoughts, or would you all support us finding a date? Say, I don't know if anyone has any ideas. I don't have little kids, and that's a big deal for a lot of people. Leaving kind of weekends and evenings off limits most of the time. I think what we can do is I will do the Doodle Poll thing, which I know it's the only way that we can really advance what might work. So how about that as a next step for this request, is that I will advance a Doodle Poll for both to kind of set a length of time for our retreat, and just a date that would work, a date and time that would work for the most people. Does that sound okay? All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm not sure that you can do a Doodle Poll. I think we would need to talk to the clerk. Sorry. It's just a specific thing, but I think it's the same as almost like how a serial email.
Yeah, okay. Tina, do you mind?
Tina could do something perhaps that would achieve the same goal.
Okay. Tina, we're really laying it on you tonight. I'm sorry. Is that okay for you to follow up, Tina, to maybe the last week in January, finding a 3-hour time that will work for the commissioners to meet and have a 2021 work plan retreat?
Sure, I will work on that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, Mary. Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Survey to outgoing commissioners. Mary, you might have an opinion about this too. I know how I will beat this at the pass. You are going to receive an email from me with a survey that has generously been contributed to by Commissioner Gary, who through many conversations, even conversations that we had last year, as we were gearing up to lead the commission, we wanted to know from the commissioners. So I just ask you outgoing commissioners if you would be so generous as to comply with answering the survey so that we can get some good information about areas of focus, what some of our wins have been, what does success look like, some of these things, and what some of the more meaningful experiences have been for you in your time on the commission. Commissioner Gary, do you want to add to that at all? Because I really do appreciate that you were really helpful with that. Did you have anything to add?
I don't think I have anything to add, really. I think even though I'm leaving the commission, would still be interested to see what the feedback is. But
great. That sounds great. Okay, so that's just more of an FYI. Watch for that. Get it back to me when you can. And now on to what we've been waiting for and what I've been waiting for, and sort of bittersweet and definitely very touching. But there's been a lot of conversations about just how much everyone really appreciates the work that goes into being on this commission. And what I feel has been there's been a lot of bonding through this crisis. Our action learning teams that we've developed over the past couple of years, coming together and working really hard to advance what we believe in and what we think is right. And it's this kid parade is really cute. I'm sorry, I'm distracted. No, don't be. It's like totally joyful. It's wonderful. At any rate, it's just, I think all of us feel such a great value in the relationships that we've built here on the commission. And so as we say goodbye to some of our commissioners, we just wanted to take a moment to just really thank you and give you just a personal thank you and send off. And so I've asked a couple of people to speak on behalf of everybody in thanking individuals who are going to be stepping away. I know that we did get candles from the Rojo Collective that I know Janae was going to deliver personally. Yay, you got them. Okay. Yeah, so we were able to support a BIPOC artist who's working on College Fund with this candle entrepreneurship, which is super cool. And we hope that you enjoy those, and that's from all of us. And with that, I would like to open up our tribute portion. And then I think we'll just, after each tribute, it's totally okay for us to take a moment. We have 20 minutes to just, if anybody else wants to pipe in. So to start us off, Commissioner Middag.
Oh man, Calvin. Oh my goodness. To be asked to do a tribute for you is a little daunting because your time at the commission has been long and fruitful, and I have always felt like I don't know, like I wish I could live up to the standard that I feel you set with your participation at the commission. But I guess for me, the amazing thing that you have always brought are like two things that I don't think of as always coexisting very well. And one is like an extraordinary clarity and crispness and around process and how things work and what has happened and all of that, along with an amazing heart for change. And I think there's a lot of the one and a lot of the other, but not that many people who like marry both those things. And to me, that was always very powerful because then I knew that your attention to all those details was always in service of a greater good and not to subvert it or, anyway, those kinds of things. So you have also in your service, in your profession as someone who supports education and the arts and teachers and the education piece of art has always felt very rich for me. As someone who doesn't have children, you're like someone I'm so grateful is out there doing that work on behalf of our young people, because the world doesn't become that place I want it to be without people like you doing that work. So that's probably gushy enough for you, but I just thank you for being a friend to me and a mentor to me in service in the commission. And thank you so much for your many, many years of extraordinary service to us.
Thank you. We're going to do a little bit of this. I just want to mention too, Calvin, that I think about some of the things that you've accomplished in your time, and I always ask myself, how could I get to that point where I can like understand the process so well that I could actually really make some things happen. And I want to say that, like, in my leadership role on the commission, you've been a particular inspiration in thinking about the fact that it's possible to get things done even as we face a lot of barriers, and to use the process to affect the process. And so I just want to thank you for that inspiration and just for all the wisdom that you have always brought to every meeting. I'm really grateful for it. I've learned a lot. Does anybody else want to comment? Good moment.
I would like to comment. I think, Calvin, you leave a legacy with the city. You were one of the commissioners who worked really hard on the ordinance changes. And particularly the section of the ordinance that you talked about tonight, and expanding the role of the commission in the ordinance beyond public art. And that was your vision, and you worked very hard on that. But also just in terms of advancing the % for art part of the ordinance, you know, that is a really important legacy for the city. Artists will be receiving commissions for generations because of that work, and citizens will be experiencing new works because of that work. And I think the reason why we have a $2 million public art budget for the new building is a result of that legacy. So on behalf of all the people I work with every day, I want to thank you for that.
It's incredible. Commissioner Silky Jones, I see your hand is up. Did you?
It's still up from before, and I said it in my tribute piece, but I also just was really inspired by Commissioner Kiesling's work as an educator and as an arts educator, and really infusing that. So that's been a huge motivation and inspiration for me. So I will be lonely being the only school administrator on the commission now, but I'll have to do some work to recruit some new arts focused administrators. So thank you for your service and for your modeling what it could look like.
Thank you.
Can I quickly speak? Is that okay? Or is
Of
that
course.
at the end?
Commissioner Zach wants to speak too, but go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly just say thank you all for the kind words. And I just got the e-card or the e-thank you. And I made the mistake of opening it, and I haven't read it all. But you know, it is a valued community. You guys are an awesome group. And I know it's been hard. I've seen a lot of folks leave, right? But every single person who's been on the commission has been amazing. And it's truly it's a place that I wanted to stay because of the people and because of the work. And so I just want to thank you for being part of it, because you're the reason I made it this long on the commission. In all honesty, is it's not, if the system is not working, it's because, you know, it's not working. But the people who are here fighting it, it's worthwhile to be with you in the fight. So thank you so much for all that you do and for all your kind words. I'm humbled by them and very appreciative for all that you've done alongside me and that you'll continue to do. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Ludwig, you have your hand up.
And Calvin, you and I have done this together for a long time, and I want to thank you for always pushing us. And for some of you don't remember this, but Calvin and a couple other members were the instigators of a mayoral forum a while back, for which we suffered lots of consequences because we weren't working according to Hoyle at all. And after that, we got slapped a lot. And I think maybe that's why one good way to get some attention from this city is to do things wrong. And then we get put in our place. But the ordinance came out of that. The ordinance change came out of that. And I appreciate, Calvin, you always keeping us on track. Like somebody else said, it might feel kind of pushing us down, but it kept us from straying from all the rules on open meeting and communication and all of that. And you kept reminding us at the appropriate time. So I'll miss working with you in this capacity, that's for sure.
That is a great segue. Thank you. I asked Mary to put together something for Commissioner Ludwizak.
Wow, what an honor. And I'm not even sure I'm going to get through this. So I have known Melinda Ludwizak for like 15 years. I met her first in her capacity as a librarian and the person who coordinated the exhibition program at the Central Library right after it opened. You know, she was in her role as a librarian for first the city and then Hennepin County, was really a great public servant and a real model public servant. And she's also I think also a model volunteer. I think of all the volunteer work you do, Melinda, you've done great work for the commission, but you're also a master gardener. You're working with the Committee on Aging. How many things have you done for the Kingfield neighborhood? It's a skill to be a good volunteer, and you are just an exemplary volunteer. And our city is so lucky that you are a citizen of Minneapolis. I wrote down some of the words that I think of when I think of you, and grace was at the top of my list. Dedication, clarity. You always speak with such clarity, and you bring so many of the commission's discussions into you refine them and make them very clear. And then service, of course. I will miss connecting with you on a regular basis. It's been such an honor for me. I also want to thank you for all of the times you have served on artist selection panels. I should have gone back and counted how many artist selection panels you have volunteered on. And I know this will come as a surprise to some people, but not every panelist reads all the materials. But Melinda, dedicated panel member, read every application and contributed so much to the dialogue. And, a strong, fair artist selection process is the backbone of the public art program, and the process starts with solid panel members. And I have been able to rely on you for years, and I want to thank you for that service especially.
Thank you. Any other comments? I most certainly am going to miss working with you. I definitely feel like you provide a very steady and just wise presence that supports change and supports action. And it's always been really just affirming as we try to do some things that are more challenging, to know that someone with your tenure is supportive of change, even as you know the ins and outs of everything that this group has tried to do, has done and accomplished, and has failed at. It's really impressive, and it's inspiring that you provide that steady stream of support. So thank you, and you'll be very missed. Commissioner Kiesling.
Yeah, we've been together a while, Melinda. Your love of life and love of the world and embracing the small joys has always been something I've appreciated. Every conversation, there's something to share and something that you're excited about. And that's a gift to always have that joy and always be there. And it was something I always looked forward to in our in-person meetings, because we always got to have those side conversations and have those moments just to connect. I would say, you are an incredibly strong silent leader and a backbone to MAC. Whenever past exec boards needed support, you stepped in and helped. Whenever there was something that you knew you could help with, you were there. There was never a question of where you stood on anything. And it's because we all knew you had already thought it through, and then that as you were in the conversation, you were thinking it through again. And your reflectiveness and thoughtfulness has been something that's been an asset to the commission and has been a gift to me. And I sometimes go too fast and charge ahead. And I always knew that there was going to be the reflective person next to me. And I appreciated that greatly in the process and in the work going forward. I also appreciate how relational you are. The reason you're so successful is because of how you value others and that you take the time to build that relationship. And I think that some of the success that we had in some inroads with city council members and within some of the network is because of you helping and lead that relationship charge. So thank you so much for all you've given. It's been an amazing, I think it's 8 years, but if you think it's 9 years, I'm fine with that. I lose track of time. But it's been a marvelous time together, and I am so thankful that I had the honor of serving with you. So good luck with everything. Enjoy those grandkids, and I hope that our paths cross for sure in the future.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, that's lovely. I assigned myself to Commissioner Gary because I feel as if she and I had a really special relationship in our time, both being new commissioners and taking on the kind of horrifying, ambitious, and exciting task of providing leadership for this body. And I have to say that Commissioner Gary has been this very steady and extraordinarily intelligent and just wise. Again, I think, you use this to define Melinda, but I think it kind of stands for Hannah as well, as just being an extraordinarily strong, silent leader who is always magnificently well spoke, and each word has a unique amount of power because there's passion behind it, there's this wicked intelligence behind it, and this passionate lens of equity and inclusion that shows up in all of the messaging that Commissioner Gary has provided for this group. And I know that very many things kind of got in the way, the pandemic being a big one, but that even as it was difficult to connect, that when I had made an ask to Commissioner Gary to help me put together, the outgoing survey and the questions that I could rely on her, and that what I would receive would be totally on point and would achieve goals that I hadn't even thought of. So that ability and your voice and your presence and that intelligence and that equity lens is going to be very missed. And just want to thank you so much for all of the partnerships, the few times that we were able to get together at the Wedge and figure it out. And I think it's when we really started getting this whole agenda setting thing into a rhythm and having a plan and making it a really big priority and making that time a priority. And that wouldn't have happened had you not, inspired that to happen and asked for that time. So thank you, Commissioner Gary, for the time that you've spent on the commission and for what your contributions have provided and wish you the very best moving forward and hope that you will be proud of us in this next year, that we carry forward a lot of the things that you've verbalized so beautifully in our meetings, that we'll see some of these changes. So thank you. Does anybody want to comment? Any comments? Okay, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'll go. Hannah, you served as my buddy. This is Commissioner Aylesworth. And I really want to thank you for your open generosity for my questions early on. I felt very supported by your just responses and the way that you quickly encouraged me to dive right in at a time when I felt like I needed to find my footing across various different subcommittees. You were very inclusive in the way you said that I could dive into any forum, and I want to thank you for that. It's really helped me establish some footing here on the commission, and I hope to carry it forward in your memory. Thanks.
That's good to know, because that bit of advice has paid off. Commissioner Ellsworth has been very involved and has done some really magnificent work this year. So thank you for that too, Commissioner Gary. And it's great advice moving forward for all the new people that are going to be starting, that there's room for, this is a leadership group. So, you know, speak up. And that's great. That's great to hear. Thank you for adding that, Commissioner Aylesworth. Anyone else? Any other comments, questions? Okay. And the last commissioner that we were going to honor tonight is not with us this evening, Commissioner Benson, but I can tell you that Vice Chair Commissioner Henry did have a long conversation with Commissioner Benson today, just the two of them, which I kind of felt was sort of poetic in a way, that they would be able to have some time to talk amongst themselves. But I know that I speak for all of us in the incredible contributions that Commissioner Benson has provided, and just the extraordinary mind and heart that he has, and that he brings to all of our conversations, and the philosopher amongst us who just brings this very kind-hearted wisdom, and really oftentimes challenge us to think and see things in a different light. So he's going to be really missed, and I would be amiss if I didn't also mention the fact that we miss and we wish well to Commissioner Bashar and to Commissioner Slade, who also had to resign early this year in 2020. So that there's a lot of gratitude from this group for their service as well. With that, I just want to mention that we have some goals for the January meeting. We are going to be nominating our new 2 commissioners that are moving forward, as well as our executive slate. So Tina, you and I need to touch base just about how to make that happen. So be watching for that. We will, I don't think we'll be talking about retreat results just yet, but we'll touch on the 2021 work plan that we're going to talk about in the retreat. We for sure, I hope we'll be talking about what these letters, what came of these letters that we're sending out after our meeting tonight. So that's what you can expect for next month. And I am very open to any other suggestions. Agenda setting is really open to anyone who wants to attend exec. You may. You're also really welcome to provide any feedback on what we should be prioritizing. Is there any other comments? 7 o'clock, you guys. On the nose. You're the best. Okay. All right. So with that, we have completed all items on the agenda for this meeting. I will ask members and staff if there are any other matters to come before this meeting. If not, and without objection, I will declare this meeting adjourned. Our next meeting is in January. I apologize that I don't have that exact date, but thank you, everybody. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. You all mean a lot to me. Just wishing everybody the best, and thank you so much for such an incredible year. So thanks, everybody. Have a nice evening.
Miss all of you.
Good night, all.